Channel 1, you're watching Good Morning Kenya. This is The Viewpoint. My name is Mike. Migwi and I, we talk about devolution progress and the state of Kenya County Workers Union. And in studio, I'm joined by Kevin Owango, who is the Chief Administrative Officer at the Kenya County Workers Union. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How are you doing this morning?
I am okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's get the show on the road now. From your own perspective, since inception, how would you say is the progress of devolution within the country?
I think so far so good, but we could have done better. That is my take. And we feel as county government workers that we should be at a very higher level than where we are right now. We are at a level whereby we are still struggling, and this is over 10 years after devolution, almost going to 15 years now after devolution. So we should be now starting to see concrete results, but we're still having teething problems, which is something which should be a concern for all of us.
So from where you stand, have we gotten it right, especially when it comes to its implementation of devolution?
I think that is the problem with Kenya itself. We have very good documents, we have a very solid constitution, but the implementation of this constitution is a problem in itself. As far as late as last year is when you find some of the devolved functions were being devolved. That is over 14 years later after devolution, after the constitution of Kenya has already been promulgated. Now, these are the questions we should ask ourselves. Why this late? Why now? And we should have done these things earlier. So I feel we have not implemented the constitution how the writers and the scripters of the constitution wanted it to be. The spirit of the constitution has not been adhered to. And that's why you find we have these devolution challenges to date. Yeah.
You know, Article 174 of the Constitution outlines the objectives of the devolved systems. We are talking about equitable sharing of revenue and the promotion of economic development, as well as easy access to services. From your standpoint, how do you think as a country, if we are talking about now these specifics, we have done?
I wouldn't say devolution has failed totally. Devolution has worked to a very large extent. And if you look at 10 years down the line, you find that there are areas in the local areas we didn't have tarmac roads.
Yes.
Right now we do have tarmac roads. You find that in some of the counties we did not have ambulances that were enough. We didn't have enough hospitals, which were brought up by the devolution itself. So easy access of services to the wananchi, I think has been achieved to some extent. Now it's a matter of implementing or getting the small resources that we have to ensure that they do the right thing. Because the issues of corruption have really gripped the counties. That is the problem that we are having. Corruption has become a very big thing in the counties, and it doesn't. Every month we find that we have a scandal in any county, most of these counties we are having. If that could be really looked at, the issue of corruption and how these monies are utilized at the level of the county level, at the decentralized level, then we'll be able to find services. People are going to see services that are really worth the money that they are paying as taxes. Yeah.
Would we look at it from our glass is half full or half empty perspective?
I wouldn't say the issue of half full or half empty glass. We need to ask, is the glass there first and foremost? Because in some counties, people have taken the glass and disappeared with the glass. Now, even where to put the water is a problem. And that's why you find some of the governors are being charged with massive scandalous things. The other day, the former governor, Waitutu, was charged with serious charges. This was a government, and this was a county government. We're talking about 500 million. You can imagine what that could have done for the counties. So if the issues of corruption are really looked at, I think now that's where we need to look at and start looking for the glass. Before we talk about if having it half full or half empty, do we have this glass in the first instance? And the glass is ensuring there are controls, ensuring that there's oversight by the county assemblies. which works. And the public service in the counties are appreciated as county workers, so that at least service at the ground level is people feel it as wananchi.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of oversight, where do you think, or how do you rate the oversight done by county assemblies?
To some extent, they have done what they need to do, but now we have a problem because the issue of separation of powers in the counties is not very clear. Because you find money is channeled through the executive. So if the money is channeled through the executive, which is meant for the county assemblies, then you find that the governor has control of the county assemblies. And the county assemblies also have been reduced sometimes to mayor politicians. But they need to understand that it is not just politicizing of the county public service, but it is an issue of oversighting and making sure that the county actually does what it has said it is going to do for the people, for the citizens. And the county assemblies, actually, they have so much teeth, but they don't know. Before we talk about EACC and DCI coming to arrest a governor, that governor should have already been taken action by the assemblies. And these things are outright, should be seen by the county assemblies and do oversight. So as far as I'm concerned, there are some aspects you find that oversight now has been turned to politicizing it, whereby for political expediency, you find that the county assemblies are now impeaching governors for political expediency, instead of looking at, really, is devolution working? Are the laws that govern public finance management, are they being followed by the county government? Now that is where I think the county assemblies have lost touch with
and this now affects
oversight.
even the level or the extent to which development will be felt within the counties?
Yes. Obviously, it will affect development. It will affect development, and because you find, even as county government employees, the county public service has been so politicized. You find that the governor who comes in wants to come with their people. You are firing people who are left by the other governor, and you find the county assembly is not able to do anything about that. Now, the politicization of the county public service is a problem. If we had the politicization of the public service in the national government, we couldn't be having things working. Because any president who comes in, comes and find a public service which is ready to work and works with that civil service. But now in county governments, there have been politicization of the county public service, whereby every governor wants to fire the people who he found there so that he can put his own people for purposes of political expediency. And this is the problem, because you find that the governors are not following Employment Act, Labor Relations Act, and the Constitution of Kenya on matters labor and matters county employees. And you find that also the county, we have had several petitions to county assemblies regarding this. You find that the county assemblies have done very good recommendations. But now, implementing this is a problem again. So that is now where we are in a catch-22 situation. So we are forced that the only option we have in the county governments is either going to court or going for strikes. If the county assemblies could actually put to task the governors and the county executives, then the issue of strikes would actually be less, because they will be told what you are doing is wrong. If you had budgeted for promotions, why divert that money for other business? Promote the people that you had budgeted to promote. This is the issues that actually you find are actually still a problem in the current devolution dispensation.
There is that a lack of goodwill, if you would, in terms of implementing these recommendations that you are talking about. Now, from where you stand, what has been the major challenge that limits the full realization of the potential that devolution possesses within the country?
For me, the major challenge would be, first, there is some form of lack of appreciation of the county government workers. If in the whole public service in the nation, you find that national government workers or the civil service the mainstream civil service who are in the national government are paid by 25th. And the same money which comes from the national treasury is what is supposed to pay the county government workers. Why would a county government worker wait for 6 months to be paid? And this money comes from the same kitty. So you find devolution is being hindered because of some of these things. Because you cannot have an employee supposed to execute services to the citizens and has not been paid for 3 months or 4 months. And another person in the national government has already been paid. So there is a lot of mismanagement in the issues of human resources in the county public service. And this is the problem which is majorly causing the delay in realization of the full potential of devolution. So the issue of making sure employees of the county government are taken as public servants of government. Because if you find that a public servant of a county government is not paid on time, then it is going to be very hard for them to deliver services. And this money, mark you, they come from the same kitty. All of them, they come from the equitable share, the taxes that the Kenyans pay. So what rationale would there be for people from the national government to be paid on time, and from the county governments to delay for 3-4 months? We have a recent case like Kajiado County. They have not been paid for 2 months. How do you expect them to work? This is January. You remember January has just ended and 2 months have gone. People are supposed to take their children to school fees and all that. Other counties also have still not paid some of their salaries. So it is something which I think should be looked at keenly and prioritize the issue of payment of salaries on time. Before even you talk about even the salary increase, pay on time. That would actually ensure that the county public service ensures that delivery of services are done. Yes.
You know, issues of late revenue allocation have bedeviled devolution for quite some time. But then again, also counties are also supposed to raise money through own source revenue. Do you think there's a way this own source revenue can be enhanced to cater for such cases when there are delays?
What should happen ideally is that the on-source revenue should be at least cater for some of the services, but it cannot cater for all of the services, because a county government is big. It is not like the former local authorities. You find that one municipal may be used to collect and get, but a county government is bigger. But there's also an aspect of mismanagement in the counties. On-source revenue can reach the target that they want, but the issue of mismanagement and corruption has been a problem. And the national government should look at incentivizing. They should give incentives to counties who actually meet the targets of the on-source revenue. If, for example, a county has said the on-source revenue we are targeting is 3 billion, and they hit that target, the national government should look at how they can incentivize and ensure that even the equitable share reaches on time for these counties, because they have met their target. And some other counties, like recently we saw Nairobi had even surpassed the target. You saw like Narok had surpassed the target. So you find that but they are not able to pay without the equitable share some of the recurrent expenditure. So if the national government can actually incentivize and ensure that once somebody collects, then I think it is going to ensure that the counties wake up. But also there's an issue of dependency theory. The counties have become so dependent on the equitable share that they have forgotten they can generate their own revenue. That is the other problem. They have become so dependent on the disbursement from the national treasury, forgetting that they can also collect their own revenue. So that is the other problem that we have. They have become so dependent on the national government that they have forgotten they also have hands. They can go and farm and get something out of it.
How can this, if you're talking about own source revenue and making sure they meet target, how do you think counties should approach this and enhance their own collection?
You know, enhancing their own collection, first things first, you know, they should ask themselves what used to happen in the local authorities. There's been so bad attitude towards the former local authorities. But mark you, these people never used to get any equitable share, but they used to meet their recurrent expenditures and their costs in those local authorities. Instead of reinventing the wheel, they should ask themselves, what used to happen? These people used to pay themselves. They never used to get money from the national government. So these are the questions they should ask themselves, that what happened and how can we move forward, knowing that in previous local governments, there used to be a generation of income from the local government level. At the county government level, you find they're doing even poorer than before. So it means there's a problem. And I'm telling you, the problem is dependency. They feel that there is money coming from the national treasury instead of focusing on getting on-source revenue. But also the national government has a part to play in this. Because if you are not able to, there are aspects of developing the employees. If the monies from the national treasury don't come on time, they will not be able to also build infrastructure to ensure that the on-source revenue is well equipped for them to be able to get their own source revenue. So these are some of the challenges which we have, but if the county governments are really serious, I think on-source revenue can cater for some of these recurrent expenditures as we wait for the national government.
National allocation.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of county workers, describe to us the status of county workers today.
The status of county workers today, I will tell you, it is in a bad state.
Why?
It is in a bad state. We have people like the ECD teachers, the early childhood teachers. Some of them are earning meager salaries. Some of them are earning less than even the minimum wage in some of these counties. Some of them have been put like casual workers. The ECD teachers are really suffering because of that. And the other people that you find are having a problem is that there are former local authority employees who had not gotten their increase for quite some years. For so many years, since 2012 was their last increase. To date, they have not gotten any increase. And you find that there are three categories of staff in the county governments. You find the people who are devolved, there is the local authority employees, and the people who are being currently employed by the county public service. Now, these three categories of employees, all of them are being paid their own different salaries. How do you expect that public service to work? Now, these are some of the problems you're having. And you find that sometimes even within the county public service itself, there's discrimination of employees. You find that, for example, ECD teachers are not being taken as county employees. Despite Schedule 4 of the Constitution says pre-primary education is a function of the county government.
ECD is devolved.
ECD is a devolved function of the county government. And you find that sometimes in some of the counties, ECDs are taken as not as employees, which is a very wrong attitude by the counties. And also the issues of former local authorities being taken as people who don't make sense, or people who are just from the moon. But they are the people who actually built these counties. You find like Nairobi City was Nairobi City Council. The same offices which were built by these former local authority people is the one you are saying these people are not performers. So there is an issue of discrimination. There is an issue of lack of fairness in the county public service. And that's why you find that every sector in the county public service is trying to agitate. And that's why you find there are so many strikes. These strikes are becoming too much. And we as trade unionists, it's not that we are happy on going on strike. It is the last resort because we are not getting heard. So these are some of the problems. So I would say the status of a county government worker is not so good. Mark you, they are also not getting paid on time. So if you're not getting paid on time, how will you expect this person to also work? You know,
it affects their morale?
It affects their morale. It also encourages corruption because this person has not gotten his salary and he needs to pay rent. You know, so some of these things, they encourage other things to happen. The morale of the county government workers is so low because of that. There's also an increase which was given by SRC last year.
Yes.
This increase by SRC has not been given to the workers because of the push and pull of the national government and the county government on the issue of the equitable share and all that. So this increase has not been implemented, despite SRC giving a circular that counties should actually implement this increase to the county public service.
Yes. Hold that thought. We are coming back to talk about that issue, but we'll do that after this short break. Stay with us. This is Go.
Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. They don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Hali ambayo kwamba ni hali ambayo kwamba inabidi ufanye istighfari sana na kumwomba sana Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala na kukithirisha sana kuisoma Qur'ani, kwa sababu salafi salih bimaana masahaba na wanazuoni waliokuwa wema na hali ya Mtume sallam walikuwa wakimwomba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, masalafu wema waliotangulia miezi misita.
Na unapojiandaa katika kuingia katika mwezi wa Ramadhan, basi kama Waislamu tunapaswa kuhakikisha kuwa tumefanya mazoezi ya kufunga katika mwezi huu wa Shaaban.
حب النبي رحمة ودواء والقلب من نور ارتوى.
Right, welcome back. We are talking about devolution progress and the state of Kenya County Workers Union. And I'm speaking to Kevin Owango, who is the Chief Administrative Officer at the same union. We're talking about matters to do with the delayed salaries, and also there's also the issue of non-remittance of pension and other statutory deductions, lack of promotions. These are some of the things that have come out in the recent past. And also there was a multi-agency committee that was formed to address this and among other issues. What was the outcome of that?
Before even we talk about the outcome of the multi-agency, it's important for the public to know that when the National Treasury disburses salaries to county governments, they disburse gross salaries. Now what happens is that when these gross salaries hit the account of the county governments, they pay net salaries, and they do not disburse the deductions to the required institutions, including pension. You find a county like Kajiado whereby you have over 14 months of unpaid pension, running to almost $1 billion. You know, how do you expect these people to go home when they retire? This is a problem which we are really having. And in most of the counties, instead of remitting the monies of pension to the pension schemes, they are busy diverting these monies to go and pay contractors. Money meant for payment of salaries. You know, so this is an aspect which I feel that is, we need to put more measures to ensure that before even the next disbursement is given to these county governments, they need to account on how they have spent the other one. Because if every month you find that gross salaries are being paid to the county governments, but they're actually not paying the gross salaries, they are paying net salaries, you find that their SACCO deductions are not being paid. These people have bank loans, their bank check-off systems are not being paid, where they are getting penalties. Some of them are being auctioned as we speak because of these non-payments by the county governments. The county governments committed themselves to the banks that will remit the monies deducted from this person's payslip to the bank. But they don't do that. So the bank ends up coming after the employee. So this is an employee under distress. At the same time, their pension scheme is also now facing a very huge balance of over 60 billion outstanding dues that is owed by the county governments. And they're still building these debts. So this kind of humongous debts, we should actually stop the leakage and then now ask ourselves, what do we do about it? Because if we are not stopping the leakage in the first instance, it will continue. It will continue, and this is what this is some of the problems we are having. Now, on the issue of multi-agency, we are grateful. We wrote to the President regarding the issues of discrimination of county employees, the issues of promotions and stagnations, the issue of statutory deductions not being paid. So we wrote to the President. The President, through the Head of Public Service, instructed the State Department Devolution to come up with a multi-agency technical committee, whereby, as a union, we're also part of the committee to look into these issues. Now, the committee has come up with very good recommendations. Very good recommendations. These recommendations have been sent back to the Head of Public Service.
What are some of those recommendations?
Some of these recommendations is looking at a mechanism of how all the county governments can come up with one collective bargaining agreement, so that at least there is uniformity across the board. That is one of the major wins we have had from that. There's also an issue of ensuring there is no stagnation for any cadre of employees. That is also something which is captured very well in the report. And the SRC acknowledges as such in the report that actually they have been discriminating on some of the employees, especially former local authority employees. They had really stayed for long without payment of any increase. So in the report, it comes out very clearly, and there are some implications which are financial in nature, and we had somebody from Treasury also in the committee. So when these recommendations, just to mention a few of them, were forwarded to the Head of Public Service. The Head of Public Service looked at them keenly and has now forwarded this document through the State Department Devolution to National Treasury to ensure that a fiscal analysis is done and a budgetary allocation put towards ensuring that this multi-agency technical report is actually carried out. So we are following up closely with the State Department Devolution and National Treasury to ensure that now this is now budgeted for, so that there's no excuse of there's no money. And actually the Head of Public Service said that he noted that these recommendations had far-reaching fiscal, policy and legislative reform in the public service, not only in the county government, but in the general public service. And actually, if this report is to be implemented as is, then I think we'll be very far. I don't want to cast aspersions, but you know, the Kenyan, we have very good reports. Now, implementing, we'll now have to go for another strike to implement this. But now, I believe it is with the keen eye of the President, because this process has been driven by the President. And actually, this matter is now at the National Treasury. And we're following up. Before the next financial year, we should be having, we should be hearing that there are some good things supposed to happen to the county government employees. Yeah.
Speaking of collective bargaining agreement, last year Mombasa County got into a collective bargaining agreement with your union.
Yes.
Are there other counties who adopted the same? And is it going to be a blanket It was one of the recommendations, as you have said. So the best way, how will that enhance the welfare of county workers?
Now, Mombasa is very unique, and we did a very good CBA. It was registered in court, and actually it has been implemented.
Yes.
So that is one of the wins we have had. In Nairobi, we also did a very good CBA. We went and sought SRC to clear this CBA so that it can go for registration in court. They did not clear it. So we went to court to force them to clear it. And the court stood with the workers. And the court said the Nairobi CBA should actually be signed. If this SRC does not give us a clearance, it should be signed and should be implemented and returned back to court for registration and be implemented. As we speak, we are supposed to actually sign this CBA today. Today we are supposed to sign this CBA of Nairobi County. We are still in talks with them, but we also want to sound a warning to the county government of Nairobi. Don't do any monkey business. Monkey business in the sense that today we have agreed this, you want to go and change goalposts. This is a warning shot to Nairobi County that if we don't sign this CBA, obviously it will force us to go back to the streets.
Are these CBAs unique to counties, or they are just, is this the same as Mombasa one?
No, it's unique to counties because counties have different levels of absorption of the financial shock. Because you find that the revenue generated by Mombasa is not the same revenue generated in Nairobi. But now, in one of the recommendations we had in the multi-agency technical report is that we need to find a way of standardizing all this. So that at least we have one forum which now will be able to standardize all this in the county public service. But as we speak, it depends with what the county generates as revenue. We look at several factors. The revenue, we look at consumer price index, we look at the issues of inflation and all that. Because you find that the cost of living in Nairobi is not the same cost of living as in Kwale or in Kilifi. So you find that there are different ways, because a house in Nairobi is not the same rent in another place. Yeah. So there are all these factors which need to be looked at. And in the multi-agency report, all these have been looked at. And the other thing is that in the new constitutional dispensation, the county governments are employers unto themselves. They don't need to consult any other county government to hire and fire you or to increase your salary. So this is one thing that the law has really, which now forces us to go county by county, because a county government is an employer unto itself. Although now we are in talks with the Council of Governors, we are in talks with the County Public Service National Consultative Forum, so that at least we have one body which we can now see and start talking about it. But before that comes to light, we need to deal with individual employers, who is Nairobi County. And Nairobi County needs to sign this CBA. All right. Yeah. Now,
there was a suggestion about integrated payroll for county workers. Has it been actualized?
Yes, the integrated payroll has been actualized, although we have had some teething problems. You find that in some other cases, SACCO deductions have been removed. You know, obviously, we spoke to Department of Public Service Management under the Ministry of Public Service and Gender, where this is under. And they say that they are sorting it out. Although there are some small cases which have still remained, whereby you find that the taxation is quite high. We are wondering why. I don't know if it's the system or what is happening. You find that the taxation is quite high. You find that there are some other SACCO deductions are not being put in. You find there are some other deductions which have been removed. And it is not very clear. But now these teething problems are still being fixed. And I think so far so good. The integrated payroll, I think, would actually work towards helping the employees. If it is to be implemented, how it is supposed to be implemented. Because it is going to look at the larger public service, not only the national and the county government, but the larger public service in itself, so that at least most of the things can be done at source. One of the things that we are recommending in the multi-agency technical report is that even deductions if the counties can't account how deductions are going to be remitted to the pension scheme, let it be deducted at source. The employee can only get his net salaries. And if he confirms with the pension schemes, they have been remitted.
Yes.
If he confirms with the bank, it has been remitted, instead of waiting for it to come to the county government and then the money is mismanaged.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's close with this. What is the future of devolution in this country, and what is the future of county government workers? How does it look like?
Devolution, in its purest form, it is the best thing for Kenya. Because if you look at what we had several years ago in some of the counties, we find there's a lot of development. But now, it is not in its purest form. It has been adulterated by corruption. And cowboys who have gotten in and decided to do what they want with devolution. So if devolution itself is implemented as envisaged under the spirit of the Kenyan Constitution 2010, then I think we'll be having something to smile about, everybody, or every one of us.
Yes.
Now, devolution without the county government workers is not going to work. A public service that is not in high morale, is not feeling appreciated, is not going to do its best. The county public service needs to be treated with all the dignity, all the respect, and there's been a lot of labeling with the county government workers. We are referred to as kanjo, we are referred to as, because we have to enforce some of these bylaws. If we don't enforce bylaws, you'll have Nairobi looking like a marketplace. But these laws have to be enforced. But these employees also need to be appreciated, and they need to be motivated. Motivating is to ensure that you pay them on time. Promotions need to be given to them when due. And ensuring that their salaries are reviewed regularly to ensure that they cushion them.
Yes.
They cushion them against inflation and high cost of living. If I saw the other day SRC was recommending for the president and some of the judges to be cushioned against inflation. Every one of us is feeling the inflation, which is okay. We don't mind if the judges are also cushioned, because they also need to do what their financial obligations. But also, the county government workers need to be cushioned. They should not be earning peanuts and expect devolution, expect them to deliver on devolution promises, which have been given by the governors. And also ensuring that the county government should not look at unions as troublemakers. They should look at them as their helpers to ensure that the county public service is taken care of.
Yes.
And they should continue engaging the workers and ensuring that all that is due to them is given to them.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for making time and coming to talk about devolution progress and the state of Kenyan County Workers Union. That is Kevin Owango, who is the Chief Administrative Officer at the state at the Kenya County Workers Union, and this is where we end this conversation and the entire Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for tuning in on behalf of my colleagues. Thank you. Let's do this again tomorrow morning. My name is Mike. May we keep it KBC Channel 1.